Hi, my name is Kelly Karchner and I'm in the Dana Hills Ward, and I've been asked by the state to produce this tutorial video on indexing. Before I begin, I'd like to just give a little background on how indexing began. So back in 1961, there was a lot of scarcity of work to be done in the temple. They didn't have a lot of records, and so they decided to come up with a process called extracting, and that process is our modern day indexing. It began with turning historical records that were on paper into an online record that would go into a database that would be accessed for years and years to come. So we still use that database today, and it's called indexing, and it is a large database of online records like censuses, marriage records, and things like that help us in our genealogy work and our family history work, and it helps us in our temple work as well. And we're so grateful for it, and I hope that you guys find this video helpful and that you guys are able to understand the process of indexing and that you're able to use it not just this family history week but for years to come, and that you'll be able to help in the gathering of Israel on both sides of the veil. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is go to the FamilySearch.org website. That's the one drawback of indexing, is it can only be done on a computer, but other than that, it's amazing and wonderful, and you should do it. Next, we're going to go right here to this indexing portion of the website, and we're going to click on Overview. That's where you see exactly what I was talking about earlier of how indexing makes records searchable online, and that's the entire purpose of it, and it's super important. If you scroll down, that's where you can see Try a Guided Tour. You can go ahead and do that along with this video, or if this video is too confusing, you can do the guided tour in addition. And you can also go down here and click right here, and you can get help with questions or any confusion you may have regarding the subject of indexing. But we're going to go ahead and go right back up here and press Get Started. Once you get to this page, you're going to go ahead and click on Start Indexing. The cool part about indexing, just like most things with the church's family history, is that it can also be done even if you do not have an account as a member of the church. So you can click right here on Create a Free Account, and that's where you just put in the simple information, your first, last names, your birth date, and press Continue, and you'll be able to do indexing just like if you were a member, which is a super awesome addition. But I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Okay, now that we're signed in, this is the first page that you're going to see. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to where it says Progress, and that is a really cool feature. This allows you to set goals for yourself, and then you will be able to keep track of where you're at with your indexing. So I just set a goal of 4 per month, and that means 4 records submitted, 4 records that you went through and were reviewed and you were able to help out with. Then if you scroll down to where it says Groups, that is really cool. You can click on Our Stake, and that will tell you all of the progress that has gone on in our stake throughout this year of 2020. So we actually hit a peak in the indexing records in April, and then we hit a higher number of records that were reviewed in May. So that's really, really good. And you can also see that with your wards right here where it says Dana Hills Ward. That's for me. If I were to click on that, I'd be able to see the same thing. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is click right here on Find Batches. That's going to be the first step. Batches are basically an accumulation of 20 to 50 names out of different records that you are able to verify. So say it's marriage records, they take 20 to 50 per batch and they send that out, and those are the ones that you're going to be verifying and working on. So we're going to go ahead and click on Find Batch, and it's really, really easy on indexing because they make it so that you can sort by difficulty level. So we're going to go ahead and click on right here on Beginning, as it's our first time, and then we'll go ahead and click. You can change the language that you want to be sorting in. I'm going to click English because that's my forte. Scroll down onto these U.S. Mississippi County marriages, because if you can see right here on the indexed amount, it's only been 5% indexed, which means that there's a lot of work to be done. Whereas if you look up here on the U.S. Minnesota burial records, you'll see that 99% of it is indexed and 99% of it is reviewed. So that means that those records are almost done. So we're going to go ahead and click right here on Index for that one. Okay, so the very first thing that you're going to want to be doing is clicking right here on this Project Instructions tab. So that's going to bring up right over to this side different answers to questions. So what you need to be indexing, what little tips to remember about this certain project, these certain kinds of records, and then additional information that might be helpful. So remember, when you first start indexing, you always want to click on those project instructions because those are going to be very specific to the batch that you're working on in that session. Okay, so now the first thing that we're going to need to be doing is right over here where it says, should this image be indexed? You are going to put yes and go to next image. And that means, is this image something that you are going to be needing to look at and be needing to interpret? The answer is pretty much always going to be yes. And then if it's not, if you're not sure, again, that's where you go to those project instructions, and that's where you can figure out exactly what type of indexing needs to be done for that kind of record. As we are in marriage records, it does need to be indexed. Okay, so we're going to go through all these images, yes, 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 and then it's going to take you to this very first section. So it says entry 1 out of 20. It gives you 20 entries, meaning 20 different pages or entries per image. So if I were to click on this image, it would go right here. Do you see image 2 of 5? But we're on image 1 of 5. Okay, for sake of making it so that you guys can understand more of what I'm doing, I went ahead and filled out most of the information, and I'm just going to go through it with you guys and show you where you can find that. Okay, so the first question it asks is what the certificate number is. So up here in the right top corner of the document, you see the numbers 583. So that is going to be your certificate number, 583. Then it asks you what the marriage day is, and most of indexing is being able to decrypt what writing is, and so that's why up here these little buttons are super duper helpful. So not only do you have your project instructions on there, but you also have many other little keys that are going to be helping you. So right here you have your international characters, so that if you maybe don't understand another language or don't know how to read it, you have this little tool that's going to be able to help you understand what that person meant by the different characters they use. This right here is your handwriting examples. So maybe you wouldn't ever think that that was an A, but you can look at this and you'll understand that that's how they wrote A's in that time period, and it gives you a bunch of different examples of ways to write those letters so that you can see different ways that maybe it was written. The next thing we're going to look at is right here, this tab, Share Batch. Once you click on that, that helps you be able to see links or codes that you can send to other people so that they can help you on that batch. These 3 buttons right here where my cursor is are buttons that are going to help you make the process go faster. You can copy text from previous entries and then put them into entries below. If it's like a question about a surname and the 2 people have the same last name, you can copy it so that you don't have to keep rewriting it. Then this little trash can button, that's where you can delete entries. However, you are going to want to be very careful with that button because once you delete an entry, you cannot get it back. So for instance, if on this certificate it does not show one of the people's names, their spouse's father's surname, I could theoretically delete that entry. However, I would stay away from doing that just because it is such a permanent thing, and those who are going to be reviewing your records are going to be able to tell more easily if maybe that surname is on a different document, things like that. And then just the same, as you can delete entries, you can also add entries. So if I found a piece of information on this page that they didn't have an entry for on the left side, then you would be able to add that in and you would be able to record that information so that you can fully record the information on the document, and that public record is completely compatible with the record that was on paper. And then right over here, this question mark, that is if you just truly cannot read the handwriting. You can mark that field unreadable, and that makes it so that it has that question mark, and the person who goes to index it the next time will be able to see, hey, you struggled with that, maybe I can figure it out, and they can see that that's a part that you left out the information, not just because you forgot, but because you clearly could not read it. And then this X is where you don't see it on the page, you don't know what to put, so you can just mark the field blank. And then this handy dandy arrow right there is where you can click to submit your batch. That's when you think you've completely filled in the information and you can submit the batch right away. And then this is your quality control. So once you click on that, this is going to show you how many fields that you have neglected to put in. So right before you submit a batch, I always recommend going on your quality control so you can make sure that you truly did fill out everything. And then if you did forget something, it makes it so that it'll take you right back to what you forgot and you can fill it in right then. So the next step is honestly just decoding what the documents say. So right over here, it helps you zoom in, you can zoom out, you can turn the image to the left, turn it to the right, things like that, move it around, do things like that. So over to your left, this is where, okay, you're looking for the marriage day, and that's where it's going to say it right over here. In this section, you'll see the date is the 15th of May in the year 1947, and then it asks you the marriage place. You go up to the top, and you can see that it's in DeSoto County, Mississippi, and you just start filling out all of the spots that you can based on the document you see. And then, like I said, if you can't read it, you can mark it with a question mark. If you have a hard time understanding what the handwriting is trying to say, you can look at the samples. Always refer to your project instructions, things like that. And once you get through it, you can submit the batch and you are good to go. But just remember that once you finish the first image, you're going to want to click on the second image and go through all of the information for that image as well, and then make sure you finish all of your images before you submit your batch. And remember, you do not have to finish your entire batch before you can exit out. So right next to where your quality control is, this back arrow, that brings you right back to the web indexing, and it saves all the progress that you've done. And remember, you can track your progress, and then over to the right, you have your indexing totals. How many records that you've indexed, how many records have gone under review, which essentially means that you're not the only person that has gone through and indexed. A few people go through and index it, and then it goes under review a few times to make sure that everyone's interpretations match up. And then total records, it combines the two. And then just like other family search applications, you have up here in the top right by your account, your notifications, and then this is really cool. It helps, you can send messages to people who may be working on the same family lines as you, and you can talk about the batches that you're working on. And then this is just your typical settings little drop down that you can help you with contacting them with questions, your help center, and then just getting started. As you can see, indexing is super fun and super easy, and not only fun and easy, but it's super impactful as well. I know that our work this week and as we go forward with indexing and other family history processes will help the gathering of Israel on both sides of the veil, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to show you guys how amazing and easy it is to add to this database of records, and I'm so grateful for it, and I hope that you guys will be able to understand the need for it to be done, and you'll be able to use this tutorial. And there's a whole community of people who can help you, so don't forget to reach out, and we're so happy that you're interested and you can do this.